What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about JASMY today at the request of Joker's wild card. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Okay, the purpose of this video is to go over where I think JASMY is going to be in the short term by the end of this month, and then going into the end of the cycle as well, cycle high predictions. Okay, and I'm going to provide some stuff that is rather encouraging, and then I'm going to provide something that suggests that JASMY will not see prices above these highs here. Okay, it's possible that it could see new all-time highs, but I'm gonna show you why I think that it likely does not see prices that are at new all-time highs. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get excited. There's a lot of growth to be had even without seeing new all-time highs, right? I mean, from the current price just to get to your all-time high, that's over a 100x. So you still have 50x potential, more than that potential, right? But we're going to get into that. So let's get into it here. So looking at this weekly RSI here, you do have some lower highs in the mix, but you are getting overbought nonetheless. Overbought. You're getting to these lows here where you're getting higher lows, but you're not getting oversold. You're just bouncing off the 40 area, which I think is actually rather productive. And you look at the weekly RSI as a whole, it's in this very macro, long, drawn-out uptrend, which I love. It likely would suggest that this next kind of bout in the weekly RSI would be your last, going into the end. Last bout in the overbought zone on your weekly RSI would be your last, and that would likely go into the end of this year. So that makes sense with the cycle high finale and everything. You're at a good low point on a week-to-week basis. I think that it's at a good price to buy. I don't suspect that it goes too much lower, if lower at all. I definitely don't think that it goes lower than this price here. You're at 2.3 cents now. The 4-hour time frame is rather volatile, though more bearish. Let's say that you go lower here, but not lower than that low. What would that do? Okay, I think you do go lower. Yeah, you're at 2.3 cents now. I would suspect that either today or likely within the next 3 days, because we're on the 4-hour time frame here. Within the next 3 days, by the end of this week, we will see JASMY at 2.16 cents to 2.1 cents, potentially as low as 1.95 cents. That's 0.0195. Okay. In other words, we can see JASMY here likely is where we go, or somewhere in this zone would be where we go. Anywhere from 0.0195 to 0.0215, okay? That's my thoughts. You're at 0.023 right now. From there, I think the JASMY begins to build, because while the 4-hour suggests you go lower, the daily's looking like it wants to start moving up again, I think. Yeah, it's looking like it's tired of this downtrend already, man. You're getting overbought, but you're repulsed by the oversold zone, bouncing between the 40 and the 60. I think that you'll probably break out to the upside soon. And just the weekly RSI itself looks ferocious. So I think in time you will move up. Just maybe this week, you got 3 days, 19 hours left. Maybe this week is not it. You could close lower, though you could close here. I don't know. I definitely assume by the end of the week that you see lower prices than you're at now. But will you close at those prices? I don't know. What kind of reaction do you have? Anyways, enough of that. Now let's call for where you're going to go after you find your low, and you already have found your low, but after you start moving up again. If we go from a relative high here in November of 2021, is that right? November of 2021 here, down to your low. You went all the way up to your golden ratio. Getting higher lows here. Yeah, okay. So whenever you move up, you're going to go up to your 786, 886 zone. My bet would be on the 886, probably around 18.8 cents. Okay? At least 11.6 cents. So that's a 4. Wow, man, that's crazy. JASMY has a 5x minimum to an 8x. I see why you guys are so crazy about it. Yeah. Okay. And the truth is, it could go higher. And what time frame am I talking about this? Assuming that this would happen for, I would think by the end of March, yeah. Going into March, middle of March, stuff like that. We will ignite, we will begin this move. If this is a moon mission, we have liftoff in February, but we're going to hit our destination. We're going to have mission success in March, right? It's going to be in that kind of time frame, I think. Launch now, land later, and that landing will be something between 11.6 to 18.8 cents, if not higher. Genuinely, I think that's what's about to happen. That's crazy. What are you doing? What's the volume at? It's not that high. That's okay. What did you see that day here where everything kind of dumped and then recovered? 626. And you were at dramatically, not like dramatically higher, but let's see, hold on. 3.2, now you're at 2.3. I don't know, that's pretty good volume for what that would have been. That's actually really good volume, even at 2 billion. And it wouldn't have been 2 billion. All right, nice. I'm just seeing, I'm keeping a tally. I've actually been going through and just in my head, just like keeping track of coins and their ratios between their market caps with how much volume they saw. And JASMY's definitely got a good ratio there in its market cap to price, or market cap to volume there, which could mean, the only reason I'm doing that is I think that could be a way to tell what's going to pump more, right? Think about it. Whatever coins, all these coins this week dumped with the tariff scare, right? But the ones that have the most volume in proportion to their market cap on this dump, you would think those would be the ones that pump the hardest. At least I would think, right? Not the ones that have the least volume, right? You want the people who came in and scooped up. Where was the interest? What on the dump? Whenever they went shopping, where did they go shopping? And I feel like that's volume. You can see that in the volume. When I say they, I mean the big dogs. It would make sense that the big dogs would buy this one, man, because genuinely a minimum target is a 5x. I might have to buy this one, man. I keep saying that about a couple things, but I gotta admit this one is actually, I'm not confident in every single coin that I talk about, right? I'm pretty confident in my projections and my technical analysis, but you never know whenever a coin, like some kind of fault could happen, backdoor thing could happen, it might not live up to its potential. I'm very confident JASMY lives up to its potential, right? I don't think it sees new all-time highs. I think it will, maybe at a future date, but I think its potential for this cycle, I think it has a lot of growth to go. Let's talk about that, okay? Because this is end of March stuff. We can get excited and drool over this all day, but let's go over the all-time highs, okay? 18.8 to 11.6 is where I think you'll go by the end of March. Let me also take this real quick. High to low here on the fibs. 1618, 2, yeah, and maybe higher, maybe go to 25 cents, man. I don't know. Anyways, so if we take a high from November to the low here of 2022 in December, not your bull market high, but your bear cycle low. This is your last let's just say your big divot here that really ignited your bear market. This, I don't know what that was, man, just initial exchange selling. I don't know. You had some kind of exploit, rug pull. What was that? What did you do, actually? What was that? Man, that's a rug pull. That's like something wrong happened here, and it took you a while to recover. And that also might be why you don't see new all-time highs. But just hear me out, okay? JASMY existence, it came about in May of 2021. That was when a lot of altcoins topped off. They found their all-time highs. End of bull cycle for a lot of altcoins, okay? Also for JASMY there. It came out at the very end. A lot of coins topped off in November as well, but JASMY, I think, was already firmly entrenched in a bear market, right? This is JASMY's first bull market. It is. There's no way around it. It came out at the ass end of the last bull market, but this is JASMY's first bull market. At the lows, at the bear cycle lows, your market cap was 18.6 million. It's very rare, very, very, very rare for a coin in its first bull market that's at less than $100 million. Between about $70 to $100 million. It's very rare to see a coin like that see a 100 billion or higher market cap in its first bull cycle. I have a point, I promise you, okay? And this is why we know it's not going to see new all-time highs, okay? It's even more rare. In fact, it's unheard of. It's completely never happened before in crypto's existence where a coin that's under $20 million in market cap sees a $100 billion market cap in its first bull market, right? And at its low, it was at an $18 million market cap. I'm aware it's at $1 billion now, but at its low, it was 18. So the implied growth that we're talking about here, if it were to see a $100 billion market cap from an $18 million market cap, it's unheard of. You don't see that in the first bull market. And you just generally don't see it at all, even in a second bull market. The coins that make it to 100 billion, they still don't start off at 18 million. You don't see that. That's crazy. You know why you don't see that? Because the coins that are worth getting to 100 billion, they're never worth this low in a market cap at 18 million. They always have insiders, they always have investors and people who are part of like the team or the marketing or the whatever that promote it to get to those high market caps in the first place. So you'll never get it at these lows. Anyways, all I'm trying to say is that kind of growth takes time. You're at 1.13 billion now. So what we know, at least what we pretend to know, what I'm very confident in, and this is just based on 8 years of technical analysis in the crypto space, and just knowing from like fact, just what I've seen, that this is not the kind of growth that you would expect to see, and it just has never happened before, would be that you see a 100x from here, right? You can't see a 100x, because if you see a 100x, you're going to be at above $100 billion. You probably wouldn't even be able to see really anything above a 95x, I think. Even around there. And that's at 221. Your 1414 is up here, so I don't even think you see your 1414. I think JASMY stops at $1.20. I think that's JASMY's all-time high. From its current price, JASMY has a 51x. I know, boo-hoo. 51x left in the cycle. I would be shocked if it saw higher targets. And I don't know, but I'm curious if some people are like, it's the Japanese Bitcoin. It's supposed to be, like blah, 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 whatever all that is. I don't care. I don't care what they promise you. You'll learn. If this is your first bull market, what you're going to learn here, let me just talk to you real quick, okay? What you're going to learn is you fall in love and you do your research. If it's your first bull market, you care about this. You're new. Of course you're new, so you're going to spend time researching whatever you invest, and you're going to research a lot. You're going to read every detail, and you're going to love every detail, because the details that these projects leave you, they are promises. They're just promises, okay? I could promise you that you're going to be a billionaire, but are you going to be a billionaire just off of that promise? No, right? And that's not financial advice. It's not an actual promise. I'm just saying I could promise you, and that doesn't mean anything, right? Promise in one hand, take a dump in the other. Which one's going to happen faster? That's how you should think of it with this stuff, right? Coins that make it, coins that get to $100 billion or more, they make promises and then they keep them, or at least some of them, they see progress, right? Most coins, every coin, in fact, they know how to make it seem pretty, and they know how to make it seem like it's the most innovative, best technology ever. And that's where I'm speaking to you, the people who might be hearing me say that I don't think it's going to see new all-time highs because it won't see $100 billion. The people that disagree with that or have an issue with that, they're the people, probably first cycle people, who fell in love with this coin, that fell in love with all the promises, right? And the first time you read the white paper, the first time you read anything about any new crypto, it's very exciting. But the more you read, the more experience you get, the more you're like, they're all the same. They're all just promising the same promises or similar promises without any real roadmap or initiative to get there. They just want to sell the dream. They don't actually want to sell the product. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying JASMY is that. I'm just saying I assume it to be, because that's how 99% of cryptos are. Even cryptos that I invest in, right? But I invest in the dream, right? If the dream is to go to higher prices, sure, I'll invest. I'm in it to make money, man. I don't care if you're making a product. I just care if you're making me money. And I think this one can make people money. Even at a 51x, I know, a lowly 51x. I don't assume that you would see anything lower than $1. Okay? You're at 2.3 cents now. I don't assume you'd see anything lower than $1. I like that $1.20 area. I certainly do not believe if you got to $2, okay, maybe. I don't believe you get any higher than that though, right? Let's even see. Is that even possible? Yeah, I think $2 would be, maybe even $2.10 would be the extent that I would give you. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.